family law, matrimonial law, immigration, dispute resolution, Ghanaian customary and family law. At BWF, our solicitors are pleased to offer high-quality legal representation at competitive rates. Our senior partner, Bernardo Wusu, has over 29 years' experience as a lawyer in the UK. BWF solicitors provide independent and practical legal assistance for all kinds of family matters, such as childcare, contested and uncontested divorce, and injunctions for domestic violence. Our childcare and family team appreciate the issues facing you in this difficult time, which is why we offer confidential advice delivered in a sensitive manner. Our senior partner is an accredited member of the Law Society Family Law Accreditation Panel, which guarantees expert representation in all family and matrimonial cases. Are you seeking advice on immigration-related matters? At BWF Solicitors, our immigration team are experts in dealing with everything from general immigration to complex immigration work permits, arranging student visas, as well as entry clearance visas, family visas, and appeals. Our senior partner is an accredited member of the Law Society Immigration Accreditation Panel, which guarantees expert representation. Our office is open from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and on Saturdays by appointment only from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We are located at 4th floor Anna House, 214 to 218 Tottenham High Road, London, N15 4NP, just a short walk from Seven Sisters Underground. Our senior partner, Bernardo Wusu, is also a qualified barrister and a member of the Ghana Bar Association. He has acted as an expert in court cases involving aspects of Ghanaian law. He has also advised local authorities, the official solicitor's office, and other solicitors on the intricacies of Ghanaian law, and is a regular contributor on the radio and TV on matters concerning Ghanaian law.
Hello. You're welcome to today's program on Hanging Out with BWF Solicitors. I am your host, Vicky Newton. I'm so excited to come your way today. As usual, every last Saturday of the month, we come your way to educate you on immigration matters. We pick up a topic and delve into it, and we expect you, the viewers, to contribute, ask questions, or if you have any queries or concerns, we would love to hear from you. This program is being transmitted live on Facebook page at BWF Solicitors and my Facebook page as well at Vicky Newton. You can also watch this live on BWF Solicitors YouTube page as well and BWF Radio. If you want to contribute to the program, you can do so on all our social media handles, especially Facebook. If you prefer to, call us live on the program, of course, you can do that on 0744 8619711. The number again, 0744 8619711. If you prefer to send me a WhatsApp message, yes, you can do that. I will take your message and pass it on to my guest. My guest is Mrs. Eunice Achampong. I think she is very familiar with yourselves. She's a partner and also a solicitor at BWF Solicitors. You've heard from Lawyer Eunice on a lot of, radio programs. And I can attest to it. She's very good at what she does. Today's topic is how to acquire British citizenship. If bear with me, pardon me. Today's topic is how do I acquire British citizenship if you were born after 1983 and at least one of your parents is British. May I also remind you that BWF solicitors also apart from being specialists in immigration and nationality, they are also specialists in family law, Ghana law and practice, dispute resolution, and many more. Lawyer Eunice, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Vicky. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And you?
I'm doing well by God's grace. I know you've been having a hectic week, but I know God is
I
your strength,
do.
so
I
we'll get
do. I
through
do. Yeah.
it.
I believe it's not as close as your schedules.
I know, of course, when it comes to legal work and practice, um, what can we say? It is part of our duty to always get things done over deadlines and the rest of it. So you're always in that high pressure environment to try and get things done as quickly as possible. And then it's always a juggle, isn't it? To balance
Of course, yeah.
work life and the family and everything else. So
Mm.
what can we say? We are made to
Uh,
multitask as women.
yeah, right. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who haven't watched our program before and it's your first time joining us, the outline of the program before Lawyer Eunice, starts talking about the topic we're discussing today, we will first of all give her that, opportunity to update us of what has happened in relation to, latest news and cases that has, gone on during the week. So she will give us an update of what is happening, for us to be in the know and abreast with, what is going on in the immigration and nationality arena. So, Lawyer Eunice, before we delve into the topic, if you could give us a bit of an update. I feel like I'm interviewing you as a reporter from the
Right.
BBC, giving us an update.
That's okay. It's good that at least we're nearing the end of July. So we slowly but surely we will be getting to the end of the year. So we are
Yes.
enjoying the sun as much as possible. And I mean, if you look at the political arena now, we now have to get our heads around getting a new prime minister in September. So
Yeah.
September is when the Conservative Party have decided they are going to make their new leader known to the rest of us, and therefore that new leader will be our prime minister. And in this country, we all know that we don't vote for our prime minister; we vote for our MPs and councillors.
MPs.
Yes. And once the majority has the vote, then that party is basically the ruling party. So they make their leader the prime minister. As we all know as well, there are currently two candidates that are contesting for this leadership of the Conservative Party. And in 5 weeks' time, the Conservative Party would have their vote and elect their new leader to be the Prime Minister of this country. Of
Yeah.
course, as it is, because a new leader will be elected, I'm sure after a period of time, they will hold a general election for other people to be able to make their opinions known. So,
Okay.
as it currently stands, we are looking forward to having a new prime minister by the beginning of September. So that's something that is currently on the political arena. Coming to our immigration and updates in regards to what we have in store. Currently, we all know that when it comes to our immigration applications, a lot of people have been complaining about the fact that there have been delays, there have been very long periods of non-communication between the Home Office and themselves, and legal practitioners who may have put in applications for them. So when it comes to what the Home Office has said in regards to their processing time, they have said that when it comes to in-country applications, the processing time will take longer than usual. They haven't put a set period of time because, as you know, they have said when it comes to the applications for Ukraine nationals who want to come here into the UK, they have prioritized those applications because of course they are signatories to the Refugee Convention, and therefore, as urgently as possible, they have to make decisions on those applications as quickly as they can. So that has created a backlog where caseworkers are now having to really stand the test of time and make decisions on the Ukraine applications as well as in-country applications and out-of-country applications as well.
Okay.
So I've realized in the past few weeks they have started to make decisions when it comes to out-of-country applications, where they previously said the usual standard period of time is 12 weeks, but they would prefer that people give them another 12 weeks, which will make it 24 weeks for them to be able to make decisions on those applications. So that
Okay.
has helped in terms of those applications. And I can see that slowly but surely they are getting around to making decisions in regards to those applications that were made out of country and those that are in country applications as well. And I think when we look at the fact that our EU nationals who are also living in the UK, so when it comes to those that are already here as EU nationals, and the fact that they are currently looking to have share codes and evidence that they can work or they can rent. Um, it's important that you realize that when it comes to EU nationals, because of the fact that the British government has introduced the EU settlement scheme, they have said EU nationals and their family members have to make those applications under the EU settlement scheme so that they are recognized and are given an immigration status in the UK. So
Okay.
if for one reason or the other you have not been able to submit an EU settlement scheme application, maybe you already have permanent residence here in the UK and you're thinking, well, I have permanent residence. I don't need to apply under this EU settlement scheme. It's for everybody, whether you've lived here for the past 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or 30 years. If you are still an EU national and you haven't been known as a British national or you haven't naturalized as a British national, you will still have to apply onto the EU settlement scheme. And
Okay.
that, of course, will allow you to be able to share that code with your employer or your estate agents when they need that proof that you have got the right immigration status in the UK. And also, it helps in terms of traveling because if you're an EU national and you haven't applied onto the EU settlement scheme, the likelihood of the border force agents at the airports and ports to send you back is greater because they have no evidence that you were living in the UK. And therefore, they would think that you are just coming to stay. And we know from January of 2021, if you're an EU national, you are not able to come into the UK and live and work as it was before.
Before.
The whole point of Brexit was that the UK becomes an independent country and they regulate things how they would like it to go. So if for any reason you are an EU national from any of the EU countries, whether it be Germany, Belgium, France, um, Belgium, wherever you are from, if you are coming into the UK after January 2021, know that
Mm-hmm.
you can only come in for a short period of 6 months, and you cannot stay and work as before. You
Okay.
need to apply to the EU settlement scheme. And if you don't have a share code, it makes it difficult for employers and um, rent agents, like estate agents, and the rest to be able to verify whether you have the right immigration status to continue living and working in this country. So it's important that people also bear that in mind, because I constantly get calls from the EU still asking, can we still come? And I'm obviously telling them, no, it's not possible to just come. You have to make an application as a skilled worker or a seasonal worker to come to the UK. It's no longer possible to just come to the UK just like that. And I know there are those that have made applications as family members of EU
Mm,
nationals who are
mm,
already in the UK, and there are issues where they are stopped and questioned as to um, where their members are. If they are married to an EU national, for instance, where is that EU national? Where is he working? Personal details like his date of birth, even the date of marriage, and some are found wanting because they don't know that information. I think that this is information that has to be at your fingertips. If you are married to a person in general, you should know things like their date of birth, where they were born,
yeah.
your own date of marriage. Those are basic information that you should have. And so if you are coming and you think, oh, I've got the family permit to enter the UK, or I've got the um, residence card to be in the UK because I'm married to an EU national, and you are questioned or interviewed and you haven't got answers to the questions they are putting across to you, it makes
Mm,
things a lot more difficult. And if
okay.
the EU national, for any reason, is also not in the UK, then I think that it's advisable that you let the EU national know that this is the date on which you are returning to the UK. And if for any reason they can also make themselves available by that date, that would help situations from escalating even more than they already have. And so it's very important. And even with children as well, because there have been cases where family members of EU nationals who are children have traveled on
Mm,
their own without the EU national. And obviously, they will be encountered by border force and they will be questioned,
okay.
where's that family member? Is
Mm,
that family member coming to pick you up from the airport?
yeah.
Why are you traveling on your own? And if they do feel that you haven't made a responsible decision to make that child travel on their own, then obviously that EU national will also be questioned as well. So it's important that we keep um, these things in mind, and we don't just
Okay.
allow the border force to dictate things to us the way they want it. And you don't want to be detained and returned when you know you've done the right application
Right.
and you know
Yeah.
you're coming to join your family member, and then all of a sudden things go AWOL and you have to start things all over again. So it's important that we also bear these things in mind. Um, when it comes to those of us who are currently with children here in the UK, so we've made applications under the family right life route, and you have a child who was 7 years old, and that child maybe now is 9 years old, and you're thinking, okay, now I've been hearing that you can make an application for indefinite leave to remain. If you are currently um, somebody like that and you know that that child is even gone past the age of 7, they're probably still under 10 because you haven't registered them to be British, and you're thinking, do I want to go ahead and make this application for that child to have indefinite leave to remain? Yes, you can go ahead and make the application. It's currently just over £2,400, and
Okay.
as long as you can show that the applicant or the child was born here in the UK, and that child um, also has lived here for a continuous period of 7 years, then
Yes.
they would grant that child indefinite leave to remain. When it comes to children who have lived here for more than half of their life, so they are currently more than 18 years old, but still under the age of 25. If they've lived here for more than half of their life and they have formed private life here in the UK, then we're saying that those children can also make an application based on their private life to have leave
Okay.
in the UK. So they can be granted 5 years, which is a period of 60 months, right away. So when it comes to um, paying for the IHS, for instance, they do ask, would you want to pay for a period of 30 months, which is 2.5 years, or 60 months, which is a period of 5 years? So if you
Okay.
go ahead and choose the option of paying for a 5 year period of IHS, then of course the likelihood is that they would grant you 5 years once you have made that application. If you have
Mm,
already lived here lawfully for a 5 year period, then you can make the application for indefinite leave to remain. And you will also have to complete the Life in the UK test as
test.
well, yes, as satisfying the English language requirement. So if you were a student here in the UK and you already have GCSE English or A level English, then you can use that. But if you were not a student here and you've obviously qualified for that 5 year period, then you will have to
Mhm.
take that English speaking and listening exam and qualify at a level B1. So those should I say, people who have lived here for more than half of their life and have lawful residence for 5 years can make that application for indefinite leave to remain once
Fine.
they've completed the life in the UK and satisfy the English language test as well. So,
Mm,
yes, that's just a few of our updates in terms of our immigration laws. I mean, things will constantly change as the weeks and the months go ahead, and so we'll
mm.
let our viewers and those
Yes, no.
watching us wherever they are in the world also know
Mm,
what is upcoming. Yeah.
right. Thank you, Laura Eunice. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've just joined us, this is Hanging Out with BWF Solicitors, your number one law firm in UK. They specialize in immigration and nationality, family law, dispute resolution, Ghana law and practice, just to mention a few. Today's topic is how to acquire British citizenship if you were born after 1983 and at least one of your parents is British. With me today is lawyer Unisa Champong. She's just giving us our immigration updates for the week, and she's going to delve into this topic, take us through the process of application. We also love to hear from you. If you have any questions or you want to contribute to this program, you can do so on all our social media handles, especially Facebook at BWF Solicitors. If you prefer to call us live on this show, of course, you can do that on 0744 8619 711. The number again is 0744 8619 711. If you want to send us a message on WhatsApp, yes, sure, you can do so on the same number, 0744 8619-711. And I'm your host, Vicky Newton. Please don't forget to share this program so that it will benefit your loved one, colleagues, and people in your contacts you may not know. So please do share this program to all your contacts. Right, coming back to Lawyer Eunice. Lawyer Eunice, what are the requirements under the British Nationality Act 1981?
Okay, so if for one reason or the other, you are somebody who has been born, let's say you were born in 1993, and your parents maybe were not married, and you've um, realized that, well, maybe because I lived with my mom, so my mom is the one that I know. My mom
Yeah.
came to the UK, she didn't have any documentation, and I've lived with her all this while. And so probably it may be that your mom has continued to have other children, and eventually she's got her status. And you ask your mom, okay, so how about me? Where's my dad? And you start asking all these questions. And uh, when it comes to our British Nationality Act, it states clearly that if, for instance, I was born in the UK, and either parent, whether it was my mom or my dad, has British citizenship or is settled in the UK, then I am a British citizen. So when it comes to me as a child, if I was born here in the UK after that period, and my mom or my dad was a British citizen before I was born, then that means that I am also British. So that means that I'm automatically British because my mom or my dad was British or settled here in the UK.
Okay.
When it comes to somebody who, for instance, was born at the time that maybe the parents did not have settlement or British citizenship, it also goes on to say that if I was born here in the UK and my parents end up um, having settlement or being settled here in the UK, then I
Yeah.
can be registered as a minor to be a British citizen. So
Citizen.
a lot of the time, if we have settled status, so if I end up having indefinite leave to remain in the UK, and obviously I've had my children, and my children are still under the age of 18, then I can register my children to be British because I've now obtained settlement here in the UK. So
Okay.
it is the same with those in the armed forces, as well
Okay.
as obviously those who have adopted children as well. And when it comes to um, children who have been adopted, the British Nationality Act looks clearly at the Geneva Convention when it comes to adoption. And it obviously clearly states that those that are signatory to the Hague Convention are those that will be recognized as having been adopted formally or legally. And so those children will have automatic British citizenship if they were to be adopted after that period of time, which is after
Okay.
1983. So if for any reason I, as Eunice, decided that I wanted to find out whether I have British citizenship, then it means that I'll need to find out whether either one of my parents was British at the
Was
time
British.
that I was
Okay.
born or was settled in the UK at the time
Right.
that I was born. And then I will need to get the necessary documents to also support that as well.
Okay. All right. Lawyer Eunice, I've got Dellington Smile on Facebook. He would like to ask if you have a EU family member who is in the UK and he came to the UK as a visitor and has
Mm.
applied for a stay in the UK. What is the probability of that?
Okay,
I
so
don't
if
think.
I'm understanding the question properly, so he came to the UK as a visitor. So, like I said,
Yes.
you don't necessarily need a visa as an EU national to
Yes.
come and visit in the UK. So, if you're an EU national with a Belgian passport, for instance, you wouldn't need a visa to say that you're coming on a visit.
Yeah.
All you need is to show that you have a ticket to go back to your country once your visit is over, and you are lawfully allowed to stay in the UK for a period of 6 months.
Of
So
six
if you
months.
come into the UK with the visit visa and then you want to remain here in the UK, unless you are saying that you already have a family member who is a EU national living in the UK. So if I have come and I'm a Belgian national and I have another family here who is also um, an EU citizen, and that
Yeah.
family member can put in an application for me, then that's me showing that maybe I've come to see my husband or my wife. I'm also a Belgian national. Because my husband or my wife already lives here in the UK, I am also making an application under the EU settlement scheme because I've come to my husband or my wife, or I'm a
Okay.
daughter or a son to an
Okay.
EU national who is already here.
Okay.
But if you wanted to make an application for, let's say, a skilled worker because there's no family member here in the UK and you're on your own, then that will have to be done outside of the UK. You cannot make that application
Right.
whilst
Right.
in the UK. So I
Oh,
hope I answered his question. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, I want to find out from you, Lawyer Eunice, how does the burden of proof lie on to show you are British?
So when it comes to those who are saying that they want to make an application to show that they are British, usually I always say it's best to get legal advice because I think when it comes to British citizenship, it can be complex because the law has often changed in regards to those that are seen as British nationals. And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the fact that we had those in the Commonwealth come during the 1960s, I'm sure
Mhm.
the British Nationality Act of 1942 would have remained there for a very long time. But things started to change once they started to have immigrants in the UK. And as a result, we had the British Nationality Act of 1981. And then currently, we have our Borders and Nationality Act. And so when it
Act.
comes to um, those laws, those laws that govern our nationality, it's quite complex. And sometimes I always say that it's always good to get some advice as to whether you are British, because some people assume that maybe when I go to a country like America, automatically because I was born there, so I'm American. But in the UK,
Okay.
it's not like that. You can't say just because you were born in the UK, you're a British citizen. It's
Mm.
totally different. So when it comes to the British Nationality Act, it is more to do with the fact that when you are somebody who is proving or you're saying that you are a British national, you have to obviously prove as much as possible that you are the person that you say that you are, and that either your parents naturalized to become British, or your parents were already British. So if I was born to my mother and father who came into the UK at a very young age and then
Mm.
naturalized, then that means that I am British by descent. So because of my parents naturalizing as British citizens, I also have derived my British citizenship from my parents. Whereas
Mm.
um, those of us who, for instance, may have to go the long route. So if your parents were not British and then you have come into the UK, and after a lawful period of 5 years, you are now naturalizing, that would mean that you are at the discretion of the Secretary of State to then say that you are meeting the requirements to become a British citizen. So the onus is on you, the applicant who is making the application, to let them know that you are a British citizen. Whether your parents were married, especially when it comes to British Nationality Act, the emphasis comes a lot to um, parents who, for instance, were married, and those who were not married who have to show more evidence. And I think at the beginning, I was saying to you, this country is a country that was based on Christian values. And then when you
Yeah.
look at the intention of Parliament and the way that the laws were made at the time, the whole point was,
Mm,
okay, if you're a married couple and you have a child, then of course that child becomes automatically British if either parent is settled or is British. But when it comes to parents that were not married at the time, then it's slightly different. They want you to actually prove that the parent that you say is British is actually your biological parent. So they let you go through a process of registration. And so it was good that we had the paternity regulations in 2006 that helped
mm,
alleviate the fact that if my father was not married to my mother, then I could still be known as automatically British and derive
British.
my citizenship from my father. But before then, if you were not born before 1st of July 2006, then you have to go through the process of registering and filling the UKF form to make sure that they know that your father was indeed British and you are
Okay.
deriving your citizenship from your father. So when it comes to the British Nationality Act, it's not all hunky dory. There are certain complexities, and you need proper legal advice in ascertaining whether you are indeed British or not, because most of it has to be proven by you, the applicant, who is making the
Okay.
application to the Home Office. Yes.
Okay. Right. Nina says, I was born outside the UK to my mother, who was a Caucasian British citizen. She passed away a few years ago after she gave birth to me. She had traveled back to the UK by then. She was not married to my father, and the only thing I have of my mother are a few photographs that were taken when I was a baby. Can I claim to be British because my mother was British?
Okay, so this is one of those questions where if you were not born in the UK, you are now thinking, how then can I claim that I am also British?
Exactly.
So, thankfully, we have Section 2 of our British Nationality Act, which says that if I was born outside of the UK and I was born to a parent who was British at the time of my birth, then of course I am also British. So, if she's saying that her mom passed away a few years after she was born, then it means
One.
that Nina would need to show first of all that her mom is British. And so if she says she only has photos, it might be difficult for her to prove that she is actually British, because we need to first of all know that her mom was British. So in this case, um, Nina's mom was born in the UK because
Yeah.
she's a Caucasian British.
Yeah.
And once we have that birth certificate to show that Nina's mom was born before 1983, because I said anybody born after 1st January
After,
1983
yeah.
is not automatically British. So we need that birth certificate to prove that Nina's mom was born before um,
Before.
1983, unless we are able to prove that Nina's grandmother was British, then that way
Right.
we may be able to ascertain that
Mm.
Her mother was British, and therefore Nina is also British. The
Okay.
only thing is, currently, because Nina is outside of the UK, she may not have access to that information. If she
Mm.
knew any of her mother's family members, that would help. So if she knew that her mom maybe had the last name McLaughlin, and
Okay.
she knows any of her family members, her siblings, or her nephews and nieces here in the UK, that might help her in terms of getting some evidence, because at least in the UK, when it comes to recording information, birth certificates can be retrieved as
Yeah.
far back. So it helps that we have a good recording system here in the UK, unlike
Mm.
most African countries. So, yes, if she's able to get some form of evidence to prove that her mom was born here in the UK, and um, of course, that would show that her mom is British. And then we can go on and show that Nina herself was born to her mother. So Nina's birth certificate with her mother's name and her father's name on there as well. And then we need some form of evidence to show that Nina's mom indeed gave birth to Nina in Ghana. So maybe it might be a child health record book. It might be
Okay.
birth certificates, anything, including
Mm.
those pictures, could help as well. And we can then say that this is evidence to say that because Nina's mom was British,
Mm.
we would like to make the application for her to be granted a passport. So because she's automatically British, she would not need to go through that long process. But remember, I said that if your parents were not married, then
Mm-hmm.
there is that process of registering, because the laws at the time were that if you were married, then you would just be doing the passport application straight away. But because her
Right.
parents are not married, she will have to fill in that UK M form, and then they will definitely go ahead and grant her that certificate of registration as a British citizen, and then she can
Okay.
go ahead and apply for the passport. So when it comes to um, when Nina was born, I'm not sure whether she was born quite recently or
Mm.
before 2006, but I'm sure once she's made that application to register as a British citizen, she can then apply for the passport. Another way to
Okay.
do it is that if Nina is from the Commonwealth, so Nina maybe is from Sierra Leone or wherever she is, if it's part of the Commonwealth, then she can then make the application for a right of abode. So as long as she's
Okay.
showing that she has a parent that is British, and therefore she is British, once she makes the application for a right of abode, she can also use that to enter the UK, and then eventually make the British passport application. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Um, wow. Kwesi says in September 2015, our son was adopted from Sierra Leone, and we have been living together in the UK since December 2015. He's now 12 years old. We would like to know if we can apply for a British citizenship for him.
So, when it comes to adopted children, like I was saying before, when you're a signatory to a convention, so we
Mm.
all know of the United Nations, and most of the laws that govern our human rights and the things that we have made into our sort of rights as people that we relate to each other across the
Yeah.
world. We know that the UN is one of the institutions that governs that. And so when it comes to adoptions and things like how human beings are being treated, in other countries, we come together as, should I say, countries in one accord, and we sign those conventions saying that this is our promise to make sure that we will do things the right way. So one of those conventions is the Hague Convention. And if
Right.
any country is signatory to that convention, then that means that that country has to make sure that they follow the right processes and procedures when it comes to adoption.
Okay.
And the UK is part of those countries. And if there are any other countries that are part of this convention, then they have to make sure that they obviously abide by the procedures and policy in place. But if for one reason or the other, let's say that the country that they adopted from is not a signatory to this convention, which is the Hague Convention, but then their adoptions are recognized, because when it comes to the UK as well, we have our own laws in regards to foreign
Yeah.
adoptions. And if that country can show that they were also one of the designated countries under our foreign adoption laws, then in that case, we can say that that country has followed the right procedure in terms of that adoption being a legal adoption. But when it comes to British nationality applications, because the British Nationality Act speaks specifically about those adoptions that took place under the Hague Convention, that means that those children were adopted through that convention are those ones that they recognize as having been formally adopted, and therefore
Okay.
those children will be British if either adoptive parents were British at the time that they were adopted. But if for any reason that person who they have adopted has come into the UK, then I'm sure it's because of the fact that that country was formally recognized under our adoption foreign adoptions legal legislation. So if for one reason or the other they've been able to come into the country, which our immigration rules allow for, so if
Yeah.
they have gone through that formal adoption process, they can be granted indefinite leave to enter the UK because they've gone through that formal adoption process. So if
Okay.
they, for instance, were granted indefinite leave to enter the UK, then after a period of at least 2 years, if the child is under the age of 18 and has lived here for a period of 2 years, and they are under the age of 13, in this case, he's 12, then he can then make an application to register as British. So this application will be under Section 3.1 for the Secretary of State to basically recognize that his parents or one of his parents is British, and
British.
therefore this child is also making the application for British citizenship under our national British Nationality Act. So it's important for adopted parents to make sure that they are going through the legal routes or the formal routes when it comes to adoptions.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've just joined us, um, I think you are at the right place at the right time, because I'm keeping an eye on those joining us on Facebook. The topic for today is how to acquire British citizenship if you were born after 1983 and at least one of your parents is British. And discussing this topic is our seasoned solicitor and also partner of BWF Solicitors, Mrs. Lawyer Eunice Achampong. She's been taking us through the process and the requirements in making such an application. We would love to hear from us, a lot of you viewers, and we also want to get phone calls from you regarding this topic. If you have any other question, don't worry, just give us a call. Lawyer Eunice will be able to answer that as well. Please share on all our social media handles. To call us, the number is 0744 8619 711. The number again, 0744 8619 711. You can also send me a WhatsApp message. Please share, and share. Lawyer Eunice.
Hi.
Yes, Nana wants to find out if she's married to a British national, and she's given a 2.5 years visa. I know she has to, continuously renew it for another 2.5 years, 5 times. Am I right?
So 4 times to make a
Four
period of 10
times.
years.
Okay. So
Yes.
at what point does she get her indefinite?
After she's completed a period of 10 years lawfully, she can go ahead and make the application for indefinite leave to remain.
Okay. So is there no way for her to switch to the 5 years to get her indefinite quicker than
So
renewing
if,
for
for instance, this is her first 2.5, so
yes.
if this is the first one and she was relying on her child to make the application for leave to remain, she will then have to show that she can meet the English language requirement and the financial requirement as well as accommodation. So
Okay. I
she's
don't think
saying,
she has a child. She's only married to someone who is British. There's no child
okay,
involved. Yes.
okay, so if she's married to somebody who is British, unless she's saying that she got her first 2.5 outside of the UK, so she entered into the UK and picked up her biometric card, which gave her
Yes.
her first period of leave. When she's making the next extension for her leave,
Yes.
she's going to
Okay.
have to meet the same requirements that she met before. So not only is she meeting the relationship requirement, she's also
Mm-hmm.
going to have to meet the immigration status requirements. So she has to show that she had valid leave before making the application. Then
Mm-hmm.
she's going to have to show that she meets the financial requirement as well as accommodation. And then she also
Mm-hmm.
has to show that she is able to meet the English language test at a level A2, not an A1 as she did before, but a level A2 to be able to be granted another period of 2.5 years on the 5 year route. So if she entered the UK with a period of leave, she has to meet those same requirements. But then the English level has to be a level A2 or higher when she's making her second leave to remain application. If the person is already here and they obviously were granted 2.5 years on the partner route whilst they were in the UK, they may have been given a period of 10 years. So usually
Yes.
they will give you a period of 2.5 years on the 10-year route.
Route.
And if that's the case, it's because you don't meet all of the requirements. And that's why they've
Okay.
had to put you on the 10-year route. So if that
Right.
person
Yeah.
wants to switch from the
Mm-hmm.
10-year route to the 5-year route, then they would have to show that they are now able to meet all of the requirements. And not
Mm-hmm.
forgetting that when it comes to meeting the requirements, which is the relationship, the English language, the financial
Mm-hmm.
and accommodation, and then the immigration status requirement, you have suitability requirements. So if during your 2.5 years, we went to shoplift and they arrested you, that will count against you when it comes to the
That's against.
suitability
Mm.
requirement. So
Okay.
even though you meet the other requirements, because of that, they will still put you on the 10-year route to settlement because maybe they would think it's too harsh if they refused your application. So if she would want to switch to the 5-year route, I think she will have to meet all of those requirements to be able to do so.
Okay. Maria Free on Facebook is just asking this question. Can a student from Ghana marry in UK?
Of course. So marriage is marriage. You can't help but fall in love with whoever you fall in love with. As long as you can show that this person, you're in a genuine relationship with that person. Because when it comes to getting married here in the UK, you have to inform your local authority or the local
Authority.
council that you want to get married. And then they give you a notice period of 72 days. And then by which time, if they've carried out their investigations and sent out information to the Home Office and they've given you a date that this is the date that has been set for your marriage, then you go and get married. The only thing about those who don't have immigration status is the fact that if you're reported to the Home Office is likely to look at any information that they have on you. And if for one reason or the other they believe that this is a marriage of convenience, they will appear at the registration when you are getting married. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants to go through such a horrible wedding
Okay.
day. So
Okay.
yes, if you're a student and you found somebody and you want to get married, of course, you can choose to do so here in the
Okay.
UK.
Okay. So she does not need to go to Ghana to,
No,
marry her UK partner.
no, she has
Oh,
legal status. She's free to do so.
okay.
So
Okay.
yes, it's only those that don't have that status that would think twice and then
Right.
choose to do it at home.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We've got another viewer here. He doesn't want me to mention his name. My wife and I had our daughter in January 2021. Um, he's been a Belgian national and was granted settled status under the UK settlement scheme in July 2021. Before that, he had permanent residence card in 2017. Will he be able to register his daughter as British, or can he apply for a passport straight away?
So when it comes to those under the EU settlement scheme, so I was given the updates and I said those who have permanent residence here in the UK, even if you have a permanent residence. So for EU nationals, they don't have a biometric card. For those who have EU passports, like French passports, for instance, they will be given a blue card. So it's sort of like a booklet kind of card. So it's a blue booklet, and in there they will have a stamp of their face and their basic details like their date of birth, their name, where they were
Okay.
born, and their reference number. And it will state clearly that they've been granted permanent residence. So
Okay.
EU family members will have biometric card, whereas EU nationals would have that booklet, the blue card or the blue booklet. So if he has something similar and he made the application for settled status under the EU settlement scheme, we all should remember that when the UK decided to leave the EU, they gave a transition period. So in January, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said, we are in a transition period from January of 2020 to
Okay.
the 31st of December 2020. And the transition period ended on the 31st of December 2020 at 11 p.m. Then, of course, we were given a grace period from January of 2021 to the 30th of June
Mm,
2021. So if after the grace period, you had not made an application under the EU settlement scheme, the government is saying you will have to make the application, but you have to give reasonable reasons why you did not make the application before the deadline. And
okay.
by which time, because the EU settlement scheme had been enforced, the law which regulated EU nationals, which is our EEA regulations of 2016 and 2006, was no longer enforced. So if you were in the in this country, which is the UK, as an EU national, and you even held a BRP card or even a blue booklet saying that you have permanent residence, but after the 30th of June 2021, you were seen to be illegal because the law was no longer valid. And
Okay.
so, of course, anybody who made the application after 30th of June 2021 had to prove why they had not applied to the EU settlement scheme by that time. But in his case, he already made the application and apparently was granted leave or indefinite leave to remain under
Okay.
the EU settlement scheme. So his daughter, who was born in January of 2021, because the daughter was born at a time when he was settled. So I was saying that under our British Nationality Act, Section 1, if you were born in the UK and either parent was settled or had British citizenship, then you are also British. So in that case, his daughter who was born to him in January of 2021, is British because her dad had permanent residence at the
Resident.
time
Okay.
she was born, and that in that essence they can apply for a passport for her right away, showing that the father had his permanent residence. He also would have to show that that is his daughter, so the birth certificate of the child. He can
Okay.
also provide his passport to that effect, and then they can grant the child their British passport, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, all too soon, our time is up. I would like to give Lawyer Eunice the opportunity to summarize everything we've talked about today. And I know that people are sending me messages asking for Lawyer Eunice's contact details and address. I'll
Yeah.
do that. Lawyer Eunice will give you those details for you to contact her if you need further advice. So, Lawyer Eunice,
Yes.
over to you.
Thank you. So, yes, we've just been discussing those who were born after 1983 and how they are able to obtain or acquire British citizenship after which time they were born. And if, of course, either one of their parents was British, whether they were born here in the UK or outside of the UK, if they can prove that their parent was British and they themselves were born to that parent at the time that that parent was British, then they can put in an application to say that they are automatically British. Um,
Okay.
Either they make an application to register because their parents were not married, or if their parents were married and they can show they were uh, British at the time of their birth, then they would just be making a direct passport application. And in that case, as I said, British nationality applications can be complex, so it can take a while to get your head around it. If you are making such an application, please do get legal advice in terms of making those applications, because even the Home Office themselves have so many guidance in terms of making these nationality applications. Yes, our offices are located in Seven Sisters. So BWF Solicitors, we are located at Seven Sisters, which is in London. We're on
Yeah.
the fourth floor of Anna House. So fourth floor of Anna House, 214 to 218 Tottenham High Road. And the postcode is N154NP. So it's N154NP. Our office telephone number is 0208 493 7340. So 0208 493 7340. We're usually open from Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. My contact out of office hours are 075 35813910. So 075 35813910. And if you do need to speak to me further, you can call me on that number.
On that wonderful note, we've come to the end of this show. Eunice, as always, thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule. But before we end, I just remembered, I'm sorry to, ask this question. This
No.
taking illegal immigrants and refugees to Rwanda, is it still coming on? It's something that
I know.
I'm trying
So
to ask you at this
it's
point. Just
no, no,
okay
no,
to
no.
me. Because people keep asking me. And I told them
Yes.
I'm not a
So
solicitor. So when I get hold of Lawyer Eunice, I'll
you
ask her.
answer. Yes.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the British, should I say, Nationality and Borders Act, they have made it quite clear that they are willing to transfer those that are making claims for
Yeah.
either humanitarian
Mm-hmm.
protection or asylum to be taken to a safe country, which is obviously what the government have said to be Rwanda. Now we've had so many reports in regards to um, refugees being taken on planes, and there was even at one point where they said on the news, because lawyers had applied for injunctions to stop
Injunction. Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
removal,
Yeah.
those planes did not take off because
Yeah.
when it comes to the UN Refugee Convention, there are certain policies and procedures in place. And so, if you're a signatory to that convention, it is quite clear that when a national of any country says that their life is at risk, or they are going to be put at risk because of political views that they
Mm-hmm.
hold and the rest of it, then of course, once they've entered a safe country and they've put in a claim that their life is at risk and they are likely to be killed and the rest of it, that safe country is supposed to assess that claim, which currently people in Ukraine are doing. And once that claim is assessed, then they have to be granted that leave to remain here, or
Oh,
that humanitarian protection. So
okay.
if the UK is saying that they are going to be sending those people that have put in claims to a third safe country,
Mm-hmm.
of course, when it comes to claims that are made as refugees or those that are looking to remain here as asylum seekers, they
Mm-hmm.
call something a claim being inadmissible. So maybe I'm from Syria. I've come to the EU. I first entered through Turkey. I didn't think Turkey was a safe country. So by boat we went all the way to Italy. I told the border force that I'm coming all the way from Syria and I wanted to stay in Italy. Things didn't go so well in Italy, and then I eventually made my way to the UK. If they find out that I made that claim in Italy that I was from Syria, then to the UK government, your claim is inadmissible because you were in the first safe country and you were supposed to remain there until you got sorted out and you were given humanitarian protection. But to us, the UK government, because you have shown that you were previously in a safe country, we are likely to say that you need to go back to that safe
So have
country.
they started sending people there?
To Rwanda, no.
Yeah.
So the law
That's what
says that they can,
okay.
but we haven't heard
Right.
further in the
Right.
news that they've
Right.
been able to send people there. but
Okay.
clearly the law is saying that they can still do
They
so.
can still, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification. I should have asked you at the beginning of the show, but it just clicked in that, oh my goodness, I was going to miss this question because people keep asking me and I've been telling them I'm not a solicitor. So when I get the chance to, speak to Lawyer Eunice, I'm going to ask her, and you definitely explained it to us. Thank you so much, Lawyer Eunice, for your time. We very much appreciate it. So we hope to come your way again next week. Sorry, not next week, another Saturday, which hasn't been confirmed yet, but we will do so on our social media handles, especially the BWF Solicitors Facebook page. When you go there, you see dates and information of upcoming shows. You can do that. And for the benefit of those who just joined us at the end of the program, don't be disappointed. You've not missed anything. Just go to BWF Solicitors Facebook or YouTube page, and you'll definitely get the recorded version there. Sit down, relax, and you can watch from the beginning. And if you feel you still need to speak to Lawyer Eunice, she's giving us her details and her office address for you to contact her, book an appointment, and probably take it from there. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Continue to support us. Until then, Lawyer Eunice, thank you. Have a blessed week. Until we see you again another time. Take care and stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Based in London, we are a dynamic award-winning firm specializing in a range of legal services, including family law, matrimonial law, immigration, dispute resolution, Ghanaian customary and family law. At BWF, our solicitors are pleased to offer high-quality legal representation at competitive rates. Our senior partner, Bernardo Wusu, has over 29 years' experience as a lawyer in the UK. BWF solicitors provide independent and practical legal assistance for all kinds of family matters, such as childcare, contested and uncontested divorce, and injunctions for domestic violence. Our childcare and family team appreciate the issues facing you in this difficult time, which is why we offer confidential advice delivered in a sensitive manner. Our senior partner is an accredited member of the Law Society Family Law Accreditation Panel, which guarantees expert representation in all family and matrimonial cases. Are you seeking advice on immigration-related matters? At BWF Solicitors, our immigration team are experts in dealing with everything from general immigration to complex immigration work permits, arranging student visas, as well as entry clearance visas, family visas, and appeals. Our senior partner is an accredited member of the Law Society Immigration Accreditation Panel, which guarantees expert representation. Our office is open from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and on Saturdays by appointment only from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We are located at 4th floor Anna House, 214 to 218 Tottenham High Road, London, N15 4NP, just a short walk from Seven Sisters Underground. Our senior partner, Bernardo Wusu, is also a qualified barrister and a member of the Ghana Bar Association. He has acted as an expert in court cases involving aspects of Ghanaian law. He has also advised local authorities, the official solicitor's office, and other solicitors on the intricacies of Ghanaian law, and is a regular contributor on the radio and TV on matters concerning Ghanaian law.